Hi distinction students, Civic Education with Knowledge Academy. So we are still looking at civil society and media and governance. But in the previous two videos, we looked at civil society only. So in this video, we are going to look at the media now because the topic is civil society and media and governance. So we are done with civil society and now we are going to look at media. So I'm sure this term is very familiar to you. What is media? So media comes from the word medium, which means to go between. So like there are things that happen in the world, in the country, and we have these people that will go between the perpetrators of those incidences and us, the citizens. They will now get the information from those perpetrators or the performers of those incidences and they will report them to us. So that is a simple definition of this word media. Now, what is mass media? Mass media refers to technical devices that make it possible to disseminate information to a large number of people. Mass media, the technical devices such as televisions, the radios, all technical devices that make it possible to disseminate information to a large number of people. Imagine there was no television, no internet, and then you just start shouting. You have news at ZNBC, then you just start shouting, President Hakainde Hichilema has done this and that. You just start shouting in Lusaka. How many people are going to get what you're saying? So it's not possible. You have to use a technical device such as a television or a radio. So that is what we are referring to as mass media. Technical devices that make it possible to disseminate information to a large number of people. Now, let us look at the types of media. So we have two types of media. The first one is print media. Then the second one is electronic media. So what is print media? So print media is the type of media that relies on printed paper to disseminate information. The role of the media is to disseminate information or to supply the public with information. Now, print media relies on printed paper. It is also referred to as the press. This is the press. So print media consists of periodical literature and daily newspapers such as the Zambia Daily Mail, the Challenge magazine, etc. It also includes notice boards, posters, and brochures. As long as these things are not electronic, you are just using these tangible things to disseminate information. This is referred to as print media. Examples of print media: the Challenge magazine, Monitor, the Post newspaper, the Speak Out magazine, Sunday Times of Zambia, Times of Zambia, Zambia Daily Mail. These are the types or the examples of print media. Secondly, we have electronic media. So on the contrary, electronic media uses electric methods to disseminate information, whereas print media uses printed paper. So you have to note that difference. This is where we have examples such as internet, Radio Christian Voice, Radio Mano, Radiophonics, Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation, ZNBC, is under electronic media because it uses electric methods of disseminating information. Now, media can also be classified according to ownership. There, we classified media according to the mode of disseminating information. We said the other one uses printed paper, whereas the other one uses electric methods to disseminate information. But we can also classify the media according to ownership. Who owns that media institution? So here we also have two types, two classes, classification of media according to ownership. We have public media. So public media is simply owned by the government or by the state. This is how I can simply explain this one. It is owned by the state. For example, the Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation, ZNBC, that one is owned by the government, so it is a public media. We also have private media. This one is owned by private companies, institutions, and individuals. For example, we have KNC Radio. KNC Radio is not owned by the government, and all other radio stations that you can think of which are not owned by the government are falling under private media. I hope we are together. Then we have news agencies. What are news agencies? So these are media institutions which collect and supply information to media institutions. Now this is confusing. So we have media institutions such as ZNBC, which supply information to the public. But there are other media institutions such as ZANIS that get information from the perpetrators and supply that information to institutions such as the ZNBC so that they can now supply it to the public. I hope you are able to get that difference there. For example, we have Reuters, Zambia News Agency, Zambia News and Information Service. This is ZANIS. They will get information from wherever it has been perpetrated, and they will supply this information to media institutions such as Movie TV, Prime TV, ZNBC, and then these, Diamond TV and others. These will now disseminate that information to the public. So news agencies supply information to media institutions so that they can now supply that information to the public. Those are news agencies. Now, what are the roles of the media in good governance? Because we said civil society and media in governance. Then we also looked at the roles of civil society organizations in governance. Now, here we also have to look at the roles of the media in good governance. So the first one is to inform and educate. To inform and educate. And the next one is to act as a watchdog. To act as a watchdog. How does the media act as a watchdog? So see, it's like you, the citizens, are just busy with your own things, you are sleeping, but the media is investigating and exposing all alleged corrupt practices in government. They investigate, how did this person buy this? How did the government procure these goods? If there are any maladministration in those operations, the media will publicize those corrupt practices. So it's like they are acting as a watchdog. Then the third one is to promote public debate. I'm sure you are able to understand this one. You have even heard of debates on radios where maybe there is a president or just a politician, and then there is also a topic there. They ask you, the citizens, to give your own views or your opinions. What do you think over a certain topic? That is to promote public debate. Then the last one is to set the agenda. The media institutions choose for the citizens what is news and what is not news. They do not just publicize everything. They choose what is news and what is not news. That is the meaning of to set the agenda. To inform and educate, to act as a watchdog, to promote public debate, to set the agenda. 4 roles of the media in good governance. Now, lastly, let us look at the shortcomings or limitations of the media. What are some of the things that challenge the media or prevent the media from disseminating information to a large number of people? 1, ownership and control. ownership and control. When you talk of these media institutions which are owned by the government, such as ZNBC, they are not able to publicize corruption practiced by the ruling party. It's not common. Mostly we'll just be talking about opposition and other individuals. But corruption performed by the ruling party is uncommon that the media will expose it. So that is a shortcoming to the media. Accessibility. Some people are not able to access the information that is disseminated by the media. Why? Some do not have televisions, some do not have internet, some do not have radios. They are unable to access the information disseminated by the media because of the mode of dissemination they are using. People with disabilities. Let's say the ZNBC is presenting news in English and there is someone who is blind and deaf. They can't see, they can't hear. How are they going to access that information being supplied or disseminated by ZNBC? It is not possible. They can't access it. So people with disabilities, it's a limitation to the media. Cost of advertising. Advertising is expensive, but people, we can say majority of the people are poor. Such that they cannot afford that money or the cost of advertising that is prescribed by the media. Then we also have language limitation. Language limits the media from disseminating information to a large number of people. Imagine mostly the main news is only presented in English. Now, how many people in Zambia understand English? So you find that a lot are unable to access the information because it is only presented in English. Only those who are educated and know a bit of English will be able to understand what is going on in the country. So language also is a limitation to the media coverage.